Let's recap everything that happened in today's Packers mandatory minicamp, day 3, the final day of minicamp. Now we have 6 weeks until the start of training camp, and today's practice was a little bit of a surprise, as typically the 3-day minicamp spans 2 days of practice, and then the third day of practice is canceled for a team building activity. That was not the case this year, which I'm all about. Obviously, OTAs, I believe, were cut a week short this year, so adding the extra day of mandatory minicamp actually practicing, I think makes a lot of sense. And there's a good amount to go over from today's practice, including some new additions to the rehab group, and also a continuation of a wide receiver that's been showing out during practice the last 2 days. Go down and hit that subscribe button if you want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers this offseason. Yes, we have 6 weeks before training camp, but there'll be plenty of content here on this channel. And then when we get into training camp, there'll be highlights and practice recaps such as this one after every day of practice. So if you don't want to miss any of that, go down, click subscribe, also turn on post notifications. All right, so let's dive into the recap of the final day of minicamp for the Green Bay Packers. First, going over attendance. First, we'll talk about the new additions to the rehab group. So yesterday we saw Nate Hobbs in the rehab group. Today, he returned. It was something similar in OTAs where he was there the first day, the second day he was absent. So I'm not sure if they're just giving him kind of a one-day off situation. Maybe there's a lingering slight issue that the Packers are just being cautious about, maybe something like a hamstring. I'm not really sure. The injuries aren't disclosed, but he was out there today and practiced well, which we'll get into. The 3 new additions to the rehab group were Jayden Reed, Kamal Hadden, and Omar Brown. Didn't like to see Jayden Reed on this list, but maybe he's just getting the day off and had a slight injury, precautionary. Kamal Hadden being added to this list. I mean, I feel like it's been a rotation of which cornerback isn't practicing, whether that was Javon Bullard during OTAs, Kalen King injured his forearm, Nate Hobbs, and now Kamal Hadden. Cornerback depth has been a worry for this football team all offseason so far. Then depth safety Omar Brown also on that list. All right, so now let's go over the lineups, but more so we're going to talk about all players that practice with the first team today. First, starting off with offense, the running backs that rotated in with the first team were, of course, Josh Jacobs, then also Emmanuel Wilson and Marshawn Lloyd. Now, interestingly, Bo Melton also lined up in the backfield in the pony formation. So quite literally, Bo Melton is doing everything right now, which is crazy, and I'm rooting for this guy. I want him to make the roster and give us depth at corner and wide receiver. The receivers that practiced with the first team today, Romeo Doubs, Tay Wicks, Matthew Golden, McCole Hardman, Bo Melton, and Malik Heath. The tight ends with the ones were Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, and Ben Sims. And the linemen with the ones, Jordan Morgan at left tackle, Kadeem Telfort today at left guard, filling in for Donovan Jennings, who was filling in for Aaron Banks. So Jennings the last 2 days got first team reps at left guard. Today they went with Kadeem Telfort. Monk is still at center, Sean Ryan at right guard, and Zach Tom at right tackle. Now, Jennings did come in and take some center reps. They're probably trying to cross-train him there, as they do with all their offensive linemen. So all these players that practice with the ones give us a good idea of pretty much who's making the roster at this point. As for defense, the edge players participating with the ones, to be expected, Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary, Brenton Cox Jr., and Kingsley Enagbare. The defensive linemen working with the ones were Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Colby Wooden, and Carl Brooks. The linebackers, Edrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Isaiah Simmons, Tyron Hopper. The cornerbacks were Nixon, Hobbs, Valentine, and Melton. So Melton working with the first team on both offense and defense, but at the same time, they're working on one side of the field, so it wouldn't make too much sense for him to walk all the way to the other side of the field to work with the defense, but he does look the part. At outside, he's playing boundary corner, or he's practicing at boundary corner, which makes sense. He has the measurables, he has the speed, the athleticism. In terms of minicamp, non-padded, he does look the part and very well could make this roster, as a 5th or 6th cornerback that also is a 6th wide receiver and a gunner on special teams. Like I said earlier, I'm all about it. Nate Hobbs got nickel work in today, mainly been a boundary corner, did get some nickel work in early in OTAs. I suspect this will be, his outlook this season. Early downs, base formations. He's an outside boundary corner. But when he moves into the nickel, if they want to do that, say on a 3rd and 12, Valentine will come in, play boundary with Nixon. Hobbs on the interior, as he's more of a cover nickel corner than, say, Javon Bullard is. Bullard did work with the safeties today, but also worked with the nickel corners. And the other safeties to work with the ones were obviously Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, but also Katan Oladapo. Now going over the key notes for 7v7 red zone period today. I don't believe they did a 2-minute drill. They rather did a 7v7 red zone, and Jordan Love remained on fire. Jordan Love has been very consistent, very in tune throughout offseason activities thus far, and he just seems like he's more in control, and that continued today. He had an excellent session of 7v7 red zones. He found Tucker Kraft for 2 separate touchdowns, one versus Isaiah Simmons, one versus Xavier McKinney. He also hit Matthew Golden for a touchdown on Evan Williams, and then he finished up hitting Romeo Dobbs in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. So Jordan Love on fire throughout this early portion of minicamp, OTAs, really hoping this continues into training camp and he can just have an excellent offseason and really roll into this year 3. Nate Hobbs also had a very nice pass breakup on Matthew Golden, a play where it looked like Golden had him beat, but Hobbs skied up and got that ball broken up. And also another player, as I mentioned in the intro of this video, that the past 2 days, man, he's been cooking. You would think it's McCole Hardman, who has been doing well. He had 2 touchdowns to end the practice, day 1, day 2. But a receiver that's been doing really, really well has been Cornelius Johnson. Yesterday was the only receiver to catch a pass in the 2-minute drill for the second team. He went 4 catches for 48 yards. And another huge day today. He had 2 touchdowns in 2 reps in 7v7s, both of which passes from El Gurzma, and they were great passes. So El Gurzma showing why he should be the quarterback number 3 over Sean Clifford. But Cornelius Johnson, man, doing a great job out here at practice, definitely fighting for a practice squad spot at wide receiver. Then after 7v7s, there was an opportunity to end practice 40 minutes short if Brandon McManus hit a 58-yard field goal, and he did. To end minicamp, to head into the summer, the break between training camp, McManus drilled the 58-yarder. Then to end practice after that, Mark Murphy addressed the team as he is retiring 2 days before the start of training camp on July 25th. So really will be the last time he's in front of the team. So nice to see that. Shout out to Mark Murphy, what he's done for the Green Bay Packers to finalize it with a draft in Green Bay. Something I took part in, was absolutely phenomenal. And we need to win a Super Bowl this year, because then Mark Murphy will still get a Super Bowl ring, as he was part of this team during these early portion OTAs and minicamp. So those are all the notes I have from the final day of mandatory minicamp for the Green Bay Packers. Really appreciate you guys coming by to this video. Again, there'll be content through the entire offseason, and of course, any news that happens with the Green Bay Packers, you'll find it here on this channel. Really appreciate you guys coming by. Catch you on the next one, and as always, go Pack Go.